And now let's talk about Pakistan's iron brother China. Chinese lawmakers are meeting in Beijing. The National People's Congress is underway. It is the annual meeting of the Chinese parliament. After the meeting, they held a press conference. Do you know what they said? This meeting will advance democracy in China.
Whole process people's democracy is a major concept proposed by the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, based on a profound understanding of the laws that underline China's democracy. It is the defining feature of socialist democracy in China.
Yes, your mind is not playing tricks. China just called itself a democracy. It's anything but. And this National People's Congress, it's a rubber stamp parliament. It is like a fixed cricket match. Whatever Xi Jinping decides, the parliament ratifies, no questions asked. So why should we bother with the meeting at all? Because the proposals here give an insight into Xi Jinping's mind. What is he thinking? What are his priorities? Who is on his target? And which direction will China take? In the next few minutes, we'll try and answer some of these questions, starting with Xi Jinping himself. He remains the supreme leader. There is no challenge to his authority in China. He locked his extension last year, and at this session, it was made official, that extension. No objections to his team either. Like I said, the Chinese parliament is a rubber stamp, so the appointments will go through. What will be their top priority? Stability. The outgoing premier made it clear. Li Keqiang delivered his last speech as Prime Minister of China. He spelled out the Chinese government's priorities. Guess how many times he uttered the word stability? 33 times. It's a record under Xi Jinping. No one has spoken about stability so many times. It's also a message. And the reasons are obvious. The Chinese state and its policies are increasingly unpredictable. Look at the flip-flops on zero COVID, the sudden crackdowns, and the party diktats that are hurting the Chinese economy. So Li Keqiang tried to restore some confidence, because this year China wants to revive its economy. It has set a new target. China wants its GDP to grow at 5%.
The main projected targets for development this year are as follows: GDP growth of around 5%, around 12 million new urban jobs, surveyed urban unemployment rate of around 5.5%.
5%. It's a modest target, and Li doesn't have to worry about achieving it. He's on his way out, but the president remains. He is pushing a new set of policies, and this could lead to more unpredictability. Several institutions in China are being reshaped. Beijing is tightening control on key bodies, especially in areas like finance, science, and technology. The goal is to centralize power. Loyalists are being installed in senior positions, and all of this only helps Xi Jinping and his grip on power. In fact, this has been the trend for a while. In 2018, term limits were abolished, so he could remain in office beyond 2 terms. In 2020, Beijing went after Hong Kong. It pushed the controversial national security law. We all know what happened next. Pro-democracy protests were crushed, and key figures faced a crackdown. Next year, in 2021, Beijing took full control of Hong Kong. It overhauled the political system and adopted new laws. They declared that only patriots can govern Hong Kong. And who are these patriots? Communist Party loyalists. So with every proposal, Xi Jinping has only made himself more powerful, and he's not shy of wielding that power. In the months ahead, he's expected to double down. The target will be Taiwan. China has vowed to take Taiwan back.
We should persist in implementing our party's overall policy for the new era on resolving the Taiwan question, firmly adhere to the One China principle and the 1992 consensus, and firmly take resolute steps to oppose Taiwan independence and promote reunification. We should promote the peaceful development of cross-strait relations and advance the process of the motherland's peaceful reunification. Compatriots on both sides of the Taiwan Strait are one family bound by blood. We should advance economic and cultural exchanges and cooperation.
Frankly, nothing new there. China says it wants peaceful reunification. At the same time, it doesn't rule out an armed conflict. In fact, it is preparing for one. China wants to hike its military budget. The PLA will get a whopping $225 billion this year. It's a hike of 7% from last year, 2022. A 7% hike. Now, for a quick comparison, the US defense budget for 2023 is $858 billion, $858 billion. So with $225 billion, China is not the biggest spender. America's defense budget is almost 4 times. What about India? India's defense budget this year is $52.8 billion. So in this case, China's budget is 4 times more than India's. Why does the PLA need so much money? Premier Lee gave an explanation. Let me quote from what he said. External attempts to suppress and contain China are escalating. The armed forces should intensify military training and preparedness across the board. Basically, China wants to prepare for war, and Taiwan sees this as a threat. Today, Taipei issued a warning. It said China is stepping up its military buildup.
其实大陆上动态我们一直很注意啊，它军费增加不光是今年啊，历年来都在增加，
没有错，都增加没有错。
但今年它特别强调这些话的话，我觉得它是要在准备当中。
准备什么？
准备将来如果一旦有必要的话，该要动武它也会动武的。
是。
And Taiwan is not alone. From the South China Sea to the border with India, China is intensifying military activities across the board. And none of it is surprising, but that doesn't make it less concerning. Xi Jinping is set to rule China at least for another 5 years. And he's ruthless in his pursuit for power, both at home and outside.